Society feeds us this incredibly specific illusion of what it actually means to win. We're told to build empires, to chase success, to conquer. But what if the blueprint we've been handed is, well, what if it's actually a trap? Today, we're dismantling the modern architecture of success. We're going to uncover the hidden costs of reaching the top, and more importantly, how to reclaim your true personal sovereignty. This explainer is a deep dive into the profound difference between just racking up superficial status and actually constructing a life where you are the absolute undisputed architect of your own reality. Let's get into it.
Slavery resides under marble and gold. Now think about that for a second. This ancient truth just perfectly shatters the whole flashy illusion of making it to the top. We look at people with immense wealth, crazy status, fame, and we just assume they're totally free. But if you look a little closer, a lot of them are basically prisoners in gilded jails of their own making. They've literally traded their authenticity, their freedom of speech, just to maintain a position. The marble is cold, the gold is heavy, and the invisible chains, they are very real. They built a monument, but they're trapped right inside it. And that leaves every single builder with a pretty stark, inescapable choice. Are you willing to sacrifice your source, your vital energy, just to earn the applause of a crowd of complete strangers? Or are you going to build an empire where your internal logic remains timeless and uncompromised, built strictly from your core? Because your answer right here dictates whether you're the architect of your reality or just a well-paid prisoner catering to an audience that doesn't really care about you. It's the ultimate test of sovereignty. Okay, let's look at Act 1, the Gilded Jail. We are relentlessly pushed toward what we can call secondary greatness. Fame, money, status. But the thing is, those are super fragile trophies. Primary greatness, on the other hand, is deeply structural. It's your character, your moral integrity, your inner peace, and your absolute freedom. If you grab that secondary greatness by sacrificing your primary foundation, you're eventually going to collapse. You might win the whole world's attention, sure, but you lose your own empire in the process. True sovereignty means you absolutely never trade the core pillars of who you are for something fleeting. And here is the ultimate paradox of modern achievement. So-called winners are often the most trapped people out there. They're forced to constantly alter their real identities just to appease the crowd and protect their fragile status. You'll hear them rationalize it, right? They'll say, oh, it takes a different kind of animal to get where I am. But honestly, that's just a defense mechanism. It's an excuse to justify a success that literally cost them their soul. They sacrificed the exact freedom they were chasing, creating this reality where they have everything to lose and absolutely nothing real to hold on to.
Let's move on to Act 2, the Emperor's Percentage. Look, you did not have to destroy your inner world to conquer the outer one. The real secret to scaling massively without losing your soul is a very specific structural split. You can, and you absolutely should, give away 70% of the execution and profit sharing. Let other people win big alongside you. Let incredible systems and smart teams do the heavy lifting. But to keep your sovereignty, you must never ever surrender what we call the Emperor's Percentage. That 30% is what keeps the entire machine aligned with your actual vision.
That remaining 30%, that's the throne room of your empire. It's the spiritual core that has to remain totally free from being mechanized or influenced by outsiders. This is where your absolute governance lives. It holds your unyielding internal logic, your pure direction, and, this is crucial, the kill switch. Holding on to this percentage means you have the ultimate power to say no to anything that misaligns with your mission. It keeps your core untouched by vanity. Without it, you're not the architect anymore. You're literally just a manager of other people's expectations.
Let's step into Act 3, the Trial by Fire.
To actually step out of theory and into reality, you have to face a pretty brutal internal war. Your current self runs on hesitant, comfortable software. It's passive, hyper-aware, and it wants safety above all else. But the becoming self, this sovereign architect, knows that creating reality requires friction. You have to get aggressive. You have to be disruptive. You literally have to step right into the fire. If you actually want to claim your throne and build something that lasts, that comfortable, spectating version of yourself has to burn away entirely.
Now, one of the heaviest invisible chains holding us back is analysis paralysis. For the modern thinker, extreme intelligence is actually weaponized as a coping mechanism. When your intellect is spinning way faster than your nervous system, you become brutally aware of every single potential judgment. You go into a biological freeze response. So to protect yourself from feeling vulnerable, you swap out actual messy execution for endless planning and research. You trick yourself into feeling productive while entirely avoiding the risk of making something real.
Because inside your head, everything is clean, right? Your strategies are flawless, logical, beautiful. It's a perfect simulation. But the absolute truth is, the second you step into the arena, you hit the mud of reality. Things get slow. They get dirty and painful. Your perfect plans violently collide with the chaotic, unpredictable real world. And for a highly intellectual person, accepting this chaos is usually the hardest hurdle. The simulation is safe, but the mud, that's where the actual building happens.
You've got to completely, ruthlessly abandon the illusion that mastery looks effortless right out of the gate. Expecting to just drop into perfect flow the moment you start is basically an arrogant defense mechanism to keep you from trying. True sovereignty requires stepping directly into the fire and just enduring the ugliness of being a beginner. You have to be willing to look foolish. You take those wobbly baby steps, you get misunderstood. You have to trust your bones, not just your intellect, because forward action, no matter how clumsy, is the only real truth.
Which brings us to Act 4, the Master's Feedback Loop. We see this self-sabotaging trap all the time. It's called the illusion of fairness. We artificially cap our own unfair advantages just to seem pure or noble to other people. We're terrified of our own assertive energy, so we suppress it, and we end up romanticizing artificial difficulty. But reality does not care about fairness. It is inherently unbalanced. Refusing to leverage your natural strengths isn't noble. It's a built-in excuse to protect your ego if things go south. A true sovereign uses every single weapon in their arsenal without apologizing for it.
So, to survive the chaos of the mud, you adopt the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. Taking action, even clumsy, imperfect action, is the exact and honestly only way to generate the vital raw data your system needs to survive. You can't figure out the world isolated in your own head. Decisions made in a vacuum are just untested hypotheses. When you act, the universe pushes back. And that friction, that's the precise data you need to reorient, decide again, and strike with absolute precision.
Because here's the ultimate formula for evolution. Pain plus reflection equals progress. Simple, but brutal. When you jump into the arena and the world hits you with rejection or failure, it is not a commentary on your worth. It's just raw data. You pay the price up front in the currency of suffering, and then, through intense objective reflection, you extract the gold. This relentless, continuous loop of action, pain, and reflection is exactly how unshakable empires are forged. You don't avoid the friction, you consume it as fuel.
Finally, Act 5, empowering your inner circle.
Look, true sovereignty is a positive-sum game. The myth of the isolated lone wolf is super dangerous. Actively involving your closest allies right from day one transforms standard relationships into a massive, loyal system. The internet loves to push this toxic narrative that strangers will support you way more than your friends. But if you shut your inner circle out because you're scared, you're silently telling them they aren't worthy. By including them early, setting really clear expectations, and creating win-win scenarios, you build an unstoppable, synergistic network that scales way beyond what you could do alone.
Think of a sovereign leader like the master conductor of an orchestra. You do not need to play every single instrument yourself if you know how to place your people into empowering, enriching roles. We all have a specific part to play on this stage. The true architect understands the unique strengths of their network and assigns roles that literally elevate everyone involved. When you step back from trying to swing every single hammer and instead master the art of the we, your empire scales effortlessly. It's held together by mutual empowerment. So the blueprint for sovereignty is laid out right in front of you. You know the tragic costs of the Gilded Jail. You know you have to protect your emperor's percentage, and you know you have to get out there and embrace the mud of reality. That pristine simulation in your mind is never going to build an empire. So the final question is entirely yours. Are you going to stay frozen in a perfect, safe simulation, or are you going to burn the illusions to the ground and build your reality in the mud? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Until next time, stay focused and keep building.